Welcome to the Top 20 Video Game Music Show with songs chosen by you. That's right, could be you if you join our Discord and choose the songs with us. More specifically, chosen this week by Chiptune, Brony, Kris, Rudi, Claudio, Cyflan, Xemnas, and a couple by myself. The theme this week is places that video game characters eat. Cafeterias, cafes, bars, pubs, restaurants, kitchens, I would suppose, maybe a food court here or there. First track from the amazing Disco Elysium. This is Whirling Cafeteria, Daytime. The track is done by C Power, and it was chosen by me. That's a great theme. Yeah, it has a real kind of indie feel to it. Really simple and dry drums. Like really modest, you know. It sounds like they're playing kind of almost like a little toy kit. Really tight and tinky-dinky. But then you've got these super reverbed out trumpets and horns on top that are so reverbed, it's like the sound of the previous note never dies off before the next note starts. So to me, it kind of feels like an oil painting. Just like you can see each brush stroke as you're going from one spot to the other, the way that those trumpets go. And the guitar, too, it's got that nice delay and reverb in it where it's very synthy, it's very kind of, you know, just plastered out. And it's not like tight and technical like the drums are. So it's a great contrast. It's chill, but it's there's a bit of anxiety. It's almost like you're chilling at a cafe after a like big night out of partying, and you're getting that hangover anxiety, hangxiety they might call it, which would perfectly suit Disco Elysium. That's probably where I got the description from. Yeah, this could be great for a montage, like Rudi was saying, with surfers traveling around. Slightly, like Kris says, a slightly run down middle of nowhere cafe on a rainy day. Great track. Next up from Chicory, A Colorful Tale, released in 2021. This is Brekkie. It's a cozy word for breakfast. Composed by Lena, Raine. Available on PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Steam, and Xbox. And chosen by Chiptune, Brony. was not expecting that B section, because we start off, it's very laid back. All the instruments are laid back. I mean, the melody notes, the drum hits, the punches, they're all played with a few milliseconds, behind the beat. Like you're falling into it. That synth string, just, they don't bother even changing any of it. It just kind of, like, they just hold the note. Just sits there. And it's, like, so lazy in a way where they don't even try to make it sound natural, because it's not natural. It's like that. There's no way somebody would play like that. It wouldn't sound like that. And it really, really works. You know what I like is that there's a reverb on the snare hits that sounds like waves crashing on the beach. Tom Petty. It's like a psh, dum, ba, ba, dum, psh, which has that real kind of waves crashing on the beach. And then that B section happens. Where's that? Or the middle eight, I'd call it. So, it goes down here. What the fuck? I'm pressing up. It should be doing the volume, you fucker. Not moving forward. YouTube changing their controls on me. So yeah, the next section is so unexpected and to me is like, goes from we know exactly what's going to happen and we're fine, and then it's just like the heavens open up and you've had an epiphany, and that coffee you've just ordered is kicked in, and whatever you're working on, you're in the fucking flow of it. But then what happens is that when it has to get back to the original key, it has to go up higher. So at the end of this crazy middle section where you're already having your mind blown, it sounds like it's going to go for a key change that goes higher, but it actually just brings you back to where you were. So it's very, very, very clever loop around. Lena Raine, everybody. Lena Raine. She composed for Celeste. Our next fabulous track from World of Warcraft. Ooh, a celebrity is among us. Stonefire Tavern, composed by David Arkenstone and Jason Hayes, chosen by Kris. That opening note is very ASMR. It's like boom, boom, bing. There it is, boom, boom. I'm not any kind of an expert on, say, like medieval music or how it's normally composed, but what I find interesting with this track is that where normally you would expect a snare hit, or just even, you're kind of like boom, psh, boom, boom, psh. Whether it's a hand clap or whatever, it's usually a very direct sound and it's very short. Whereas this one uses a ch-ch. It's like, and now they're adding it earlier. It's like a tambourine. Here, let me back it up. There we go. So when you couple that kind of ch-ch-ch with those low kind of big skin drums, what it's cool about it is that by deviating from the traditional pop format and rhythm structure that we would expect hearing North American music, or just most modern music, when you deviate like that, it gives it an exotic feel. Like when you hear salsa and you're trying to place like, okay, oh, the bass is actually in a different place that I'm used to. These drums are all in, everything's in a different place that I'm used to. I'm still feeling the rhythms, but it's pulling me in different directions, It's like when you hear salsa, you want to move your hips, or you just move sort of laterally, right? You're keeping up. So when you have that, the rhythms being different than what you expect, it gives it that exotic feel. Now, maybe you're an expert on medieval music and you'd say, "Good sir, this is textbook medieval music." And I would say, sure, you sound very convincing. I believe you. But still sounds exotic to me. All right. Well, Rudi picked songs this week, so you're damn straight. He picked something from Trails of Cold Steel, Sen no Kiseki. This is Dining Bar F, composed by Takahiro Unisuga. Wow. It's so stanky. Oh, it's over. That was beautiful. Man, did I ever get transported. I mentioned this a lot, like playing behind the beat or ahead of the beat. So just, for a quick example, I mean, if it's like a... Oopsie, I just tuned this guitar all crazy. 1 second. I forgot that I paused it, so this video, there's probably a weird edit there. But anyways, this is I was explaining to the stream about, instead of just playing things on the beat right away, you add a little anticipation, play slightly after the beat, or put in notes right before the beat. So more of like a... Yeah. Anyway, on to the next. From Catherine, this is Cafe Catherine. Or maybe it's Cafe from Catherine. That's probably more likely. I just didn't put a dash there. Released in 2011 on the PS Vita. Really? Huh. Composed by Sprach Brooks. Also Sprach Brooks. Or maybe this is fucking... What the fuck is going on here? Oh, all right. I got messed up because Claudio, and this is not Claudio's fault, this is my fault. Claudio, if there's ever a theme that has multiple topics like restaurant, bar, Game Boy versus the Game Gear. No, it's not your fault at all, Claudio. It's my fault. I've read all this ahead of time. What Claudio does is he will say, all right, this is my cafe pick, and the next one will be my pub pick or my tavern pick. And he labeled it really, really beautifully in our Discord with like different fonts and stuff. It's very, very easy for me to understand. It's just when I put it on my notepad, I didn't differentiate. I didn't put a hyphen or anything. So anyway, this is Claudio's cafe pick from Catherine. And the track is called Also Sprach Brooks, and it's composed by Shoji Meguro. All right, thanks, Claudio, and sorry about that. Yeah, it's very similar to the last track. Something this one does is that when you think of the beat as being down and up beats, like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, one. When you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 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 1. That's how I like to count this one. 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So, anyways, when you hit the things on the up, which you don't normally have, it gives it a really floaty feel. So if he's doing the kick, boom, 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 that gives it that like more of a bouncy feel. So it still has that kind of behind the beat, chilled out thing, but it also has a bit of like an extra kind of bounce to it. It's a little more like swinging or more like trip hoppy, not as stanky. A little more glamorous and kind of a little more uppity, Next up from Divinity, Original Sin 2, released in 2017 on the PC. This is The Queen's High Seas, a tavern theme, composed by Borislav Slavov, chosen by Cyflan. Divinity Original Sin 2. What a game. A game that I haven't gotten ever close to beating, but every time I do try to hop back into it and explore around, I have such a great time. So many great stories and battles to be had around every corner. The strategy is so good. Hey, Kazi time. This track, it's got that Eastern European or that Russian kind of klezmer thing where you're having the melodic rhythm hits on the upbeats again, like we were talking about in the last song with the upbeats. And then when you couple that with a 4 on the floor bass and bass drum, that gives it that kind of Russian, Polish, Ukrainian sound of like up and down and hutta hata ochi strasnie. And then we get some harpsichord and some classic sort of medieval instruments to give it that fantasy vibe. And a few other ones, I give it more of like an exotic kind of markety feel to me. Really nice stuff. All right, next up from the acclaimed Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. This is Another Round for Everyone, composed by, I'm going to butcher this, Marcin, M-A-R-C-I-N, Przybylowicz, chosen by Xemnas. Yeah. Hey, hey. Oh, this guy's here. Jesus. Wow. That is it's a pretty exciting track. You know, the interesting thing about the track is that it has this excitement when they go another round for everyone, but it kind of sounds like it was a bad idea for everybody to have another shot, and that's a fight is about to break out, because this is done with like such kind of like exuberance and energy, and I find like, yeah, the instruments and a lot of the arrangement make it sound like Polish folk music, I guess, I would assume, but the way they just like play the guitar, the drum hits, or whatever that stringed instrument is, maybe it's not a guitar. It is a Plaskenkoten. Hey, who's making fun of my Polish instruments here? Hey! But the way they play that, and the way they kind of build it with these notes here is very more like modern rock, or dare I say metal in a way, you know? Just like really makes it sound fucking rockin', fucking badass. Something is about to go down. This is really, really fantastic. Wow, beautiful. All right, next up. Tough act to follow, but this is from the Sega Genesis, Shadowrun, my favorite game, nostalgically. And this is the Bar 4 music. This plays in one of the many, many different bars and nightclubs you go to. I couldn't find any gameplay showing one of the bars, so I just opened up this online old games, one of those like cloud-based emulators, I guess you might call it, or flash-based. And so we're playing here. We're in the bar. So there you go. All right. This is Bar 4, composed by his name, Sam Powell. Yeah. You can hire the different shadowrunners to join you. Only if it's a simple job. I don't like to fight. They charge 155 nuyen, or you pay 10 times that and you can have them forever until you go down and lose a mission and anyone ever ends up in like the hospital, then they're done with you. That's pretty cool. There's another bar over here. That's just an opening area of the game. Yeah, it's slightly different. Still a lot of neon and industrialness. Different colors. Some booths with candles. And then you get jobs from these guys. These guys are called the Johnsons. They give you contacts and stuff. Now, the nice thing is, the jobs that these guys do are infinite. So you can play this game forever. Community of ghouls somewhere. You go into like a really scary abandoned building and gun down a bunch of ghouls. All right. So back to the actual song. So yeah, this has got kind of like a country twang on that synth guitar with just a little bit of delay behind it, and almost like vibe kind of sounding backing it up, which gives it that like bit of kind of cyberpunky thing. I like the guitar bits too. Bit of a kind of a Latin feel. It's got a really interesting set of rhythm to it because it doesn't have traditional like bass. Oh, you know what it is? It's the I want candy. Boom, 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 boom. I want candy. Or it's the Bo Diddley beat. Here's a song, Hey Mona, Ooh Mona. Yeah, it's like it's an old kind of rock Motown deal. Cool, I love it. All right, we all know that Toby Fox's Undertale was one of the biggest things to happen to PC gaming in the last probably 15 years or so, especially with the internet age and fandom. His follow-up, Deltarune, I haven't really heard much about, but released in 2021, I believe was a free DLC or expansion or sequel. Pretty interesting. I mean, the guy's set for life after the first game, so nice of him to do that, to reward the community that made him rich. I'm sure beyond his wildest dreams. This is composed by Toby Fox. It is the Hip Shop / Color Cafe. Chosen by Chiptune. right, this is called Hip Shop Color Cafe, if you didn't know. Composed by Toby Fox. It's got, I mean, I love those suspended sort of strings in the back. They just really add a lot of this kind of suspension, but, I mean, yeah, pun intended, I guess, of, they add a bit of tension to it, but like a warmness, and they sort of push the song along throughout this chord loop, because it's just the same, 4 to 6 chords, but stretch out nicely, and then those other chord notes he puts on top just lead so well into the next chords. And the way that melody always feels like it's just kind of starting its next phase. It's like a masterful way to write a loop that does not get boring or feels like... It never feels too predictable, even though you know where it's going, and it's doing such a good job of taking you there, but each sort of next chord is almost like a revelation rather than being tedious or sounding inevitable. And just like, other than all that, just, great playing. He's clearly a guy that knows his way around the keyboard. All right, next up from Overcooked 2. This is Ravenous Rapids, composed by Oliver Wood and Danny Hay. Chosen by Chris. Oh, yeah. Very true, Chris. You have all the sort of pomp and circumstance of big band, jump music, jump kind of swing, all that real fast stuff, throwing women through your legs to honor how they throw babies through their legs for us. And you would expect it to be a lot bigger, more horns, more people playing at once. But you're right, when it gets to the melody, it really sits back a bit. Kind of builds up to support the drums. It's like the drums are the star of the show, getting several solos and the biggest dynamic moments. But, once it kicks in, the drums do a really nice job of laying back. It's actually the drums that are laying back the most during the part that feels low. And I mean, and everyone just kind of follows suit on that. They're all following the drum lead. Insane show. Wow. There's just something about having live performance that you instantly feel because we respond to the way humans play instruments. The milliseconds where they choose to go ahead or behind is you instantly react to, and just moves you and grabs you in a way that a computer cannot replicate consistently at this point. Although I'm sure there's some people that know how to go in and change the inflection of the notes, the intensity, the velocity, the placement of it, do what they're doing. I mean, Jeremy Soule from the Elder Scrolls series, his stuff never feels fake, but it also is a lot of long, drawn-out notes, so the style works for him there. Hey, did you think I'd be talking about Genshin Impact? I didn't. This is Halcyon Times, composed by Yupeng Chen. The Hoyo Mix, chosen by Rudi. expecting that chord change. Give it to me again. Yes. So that is going from the one chord being a minor to the 4 chord also being a minor. So you get that kind of oh, da 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 da, and with the melody going to the root of that 4 too. Da 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 da, bum ba dum ba ba, da 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 da. Da da da. Wow, that sounds familiar now. Bum bum ba ba bum. Dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. That part sounds familiar. Boom boom ba da da da. Dum dum. Maybe I'm adding something to the original song. It's not even there. There's less of a stigma for Asian composers, at least Japanese ones, maybe Chinese as well, to quote things and sort of take from it, you know? Anyway, really beautiful, really elegant, really touchy, really agile, really sort of like, just like slick drums that give this, it's a waltz, so it's going to have an airy feel as well, but they're doing everything they can to support that airy, bouncy feel. You know, I must say, when I saw that this game was Genshin Impact and I looked at the visuals and I saw the anime, I thought, I'm probably going to hate this track. I ended up fucking loving it. Nice one, Rudi. And actually, the more I see from this gameplay video, I think, well, maybe this is like a slightly more thoughtful anime game. It looks a hell of a lot like Breath of the Wild. Oh, this is a game that ripped off Breath of the Wild. Oh, right. And then it actually became, like, quite popular? Alright, okay. No wonder I like the look of it. It could not be closer to Breath of the Wild. She's attacking an encampment of these enemies that all look exactly like Breath of the Wild enemies who also live in encampments. Just the look of the land, the impressionistic grass, the fire elements that you have to deal with. You know, the fire like being a part of the gameplay. Yeah, they're not moblins. Yeah, exactly. Wow. And then even the way they show you your like stamina and everything. Oh, look at you climb up that rock cliff. Holy shit. I remember seeing this, you know, many years ago when it was in development and thinking, wow, they're just totally ripping that off. And then also hearing about Genshin Impact lately, a lot of people talking about it. I had no idea they were the same thing. Wow, look, a very big open world. She's off to not a shrine over there. Oh my god, and even like the bow effects and everything, and it's just shameless, really. Like they should be embarrassed to do this, and it should not be legal. And I mean, Nintendo should get like a fucking writing credit for this. Wow. Disgusting. This one's gonna be good. From Dead Rising 2. This is the VIP Lounge, composed by Olexa Lozacek, chosen by Claudio. This is his pub entry. You know what the song does so well? It does a lot of things really well. I mean, other than it just laying down an incredibly funky rhythmic track, it has a beautiful chord progression that takes its time, keeps things just as interesting as you need. All the playing and the production, just everything sounds smooth and elegant and bouncy and funky and just warm and inviting. But another thing this track does really well is in its arranging, it knows that it's going to be a long loop. So when you've just had too much of it being up, the next section brings it way down. You know, it gets rid of all the background synths, dials everything way back. And then just when you've kind of heard it all and it loops around, at the beginning of that loop, there's that pow, pow, those punches that hit you. So just when your brain... The nice thing about putting that early in the loop is that once you've heard the loop and then it loops around, your brain goes, oh, okay, I know where this is going to go. And then pow, pow, hits you right away. So eventually you would anticipate that too. But it comes at an unexpected time. Because traditionally, in a music phrase, you would build up to something like that. But because it's a loop, time works differently for it. Oh, that's another nice thing about it is that it's a loop, but they change the chord progression up where you think it's the first time looping through. So it goes through a progression, then a similar but different enough to maintain interest progression, and then loops that whole thing. Oh, this song is unbelievable. It just so easily could have been such a throwaway. Yeah, we need a track for the VIP Lounge. It's in Dead Rising 2, so it's a comedy game, basically. You can get away with anything. And it's just going to loop, so they could have totally fucked around. And they didn't. They delivered a masterpiece. Well, I mean, if you call it like porn music or elevator music, it's sexy. It's got like a sexy kind of swank to it. It's classier than porn, that's for sure. Elevator music, just because everything is done really, really softly. I'm not trying to, it's not going to offend anybody, and it's got kind of a dreamy rhythm to it. Because you're trying to... The elevator is this removal from where you were, and you want people to not think about them being stuck in an elevator, trapped in an elevator, or the time that it's taking. And Oh, yeah, I guess they just call it because it has a sexy feel, right? But elevator music can be kind of an insult, too. It has a bit of the Careless Whisper melody. So, some sneaky inspiration there. It's probably why they use horns instead of saxophone. Next up, from Folklore, the game Folklore. This is actually a traditional track, so not originally composed for the video game, but it was arranged by Kenji Kawai, Shinji Hosoe, Ayako Saso, Hiroto Saito. Never seen an H in a Japanese name. Chosen by Xemnas, and this arrangement is a traditional Irish folk song called Danny Boy. Take it up there. That's a nice tune for you. A little classic Danny Boy. Alrighty, let's do it. Well, the live performance of that was only available on the stream if you're watching this on the video. I'm sorry. But check out the live streams. Other things happen. A lot of stream exclusives. Moving on to the next track, which is going to be a fantastic one. This is from Beacon Pines. It's called Everything's Fine, composed by Matt Meyer. Chosen by Chiptune Brony. You know, with this track, I really like the opening melody of it. And what I like about the opening melody is that it ends off all of its phrases on an unexpected note. Right there. Ba, ba-dum, ba. Instead of ba, ba-dum, ba. Or like ba-dum, ba, ba-dum, ba. It's taken that ba-dum, ba, just lowers it down one or up one for me to expect it. So when you kind of go to sway into it, it sort of gives you a little surprise at the end, you know? There we go. That's where it's... And then I would call the rest of this like a piano improvisation, because it's looping through the same progression over and over again, and the only thing that's really changing is how the piano is kind of comping it, and the chords that they choose, and kind of dynamics of it. You know, it keeps it interesting as it goes through. I think it kind of runs out of ideas and dynamics about, you know, after a couple minutes of it. It's pretty interesting up to this point. It's only a 2-minute song, and I'd say maybe the last minute or last 30 seconds. I probably could have used more, something else, different instrument, different place. But it's a very cute song, and it probably works perfectly for, you know, just giving you a soundtrack loop from entering a certain building or something, right? So it's very cute. Very cute, nicely played, and I really love that opening melody a lot. Next up, we have a track composed by the great Nobuo Uematsu, but it's not Final Fantasy. It's not Lost Odyssey. It's not that iOS RPG game. It is from Fantasy Life. This is Tavern, chosen by Kris. So, done in the style of a sort of like German tavern, wherever they have polka, that kind of drinking. It's a big drinking song, a song that a bunch of men with low voices, and then women could also sing it too, because the men are singing so low, it means that when you transpose it to a woman, probably quite singable for them. Yeah, I would not have guessed this as an Uematsu track at all. It doesn't have any of those little weird quirks he likes to put in. It's very, very straight ahead. It does portray an idealized version of a German tavern. The song or the game? Yeah, it's, I mean, the opening and then just like the opening music and then the guy singing really sounds like, well, when you just hit the root of it and then down to the 5. Boom, boom, boom. Sounds like roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel. We've got the blues on a run. You know? That kind of deal. Alright. Yeah, never would have guessed it. Just wild. Just friggin' wild. Fun track, though. Oh, this next one is great. Just wait till you hear it. It's from Xenosaga, Episode 2, to be exact. This is Moby Dick's Cafe, composed by Shinji Hosoe and chosen by Rudi. I was kind of looking just during that if there's a higher quality version we could find, because it's a really, really nice song. An arrangement. It's got kind of like a not mournful. It's a bit nostalgic. There's a bit of sadness, but it's sort of like, I don't know, almost like going home to an old cafe and maybe not recognizing things as they once were. Things have changed, or maybe it's like you went on a nice vacation or a nice adventure or journey, and this is kind of the last time you're sitting down and having a quiet moment before you leave. You know, you're in like some exotic town for a couple weeks maybe, and you're having one last little coffee before you get back on that boat and head to the next place. I remember that the first time, my very first cruise ship experience, I spent 4.5 months on the Caribbean Princess, and they went to Caribbean islands. And our very first tour, we were in Aruba, Curacao, some other warm place. And I remember when we were shifting positions, so after you're there for maybe a month or two, we were going to head off to England eventually. And we're going to cross the ocean. And it was the last day I'd ever probably see Aruba, because I can't see myself going back there. So, yeah, I remember being on the dock. It was so warm. The water's so beautiful there. The air is always so warm. Such a colorful place. Yeah. Great track. From ActRaiser. Remember that? Released on the SNES in 1990. This is Claudio's Tavern theme. It is Birth of the People. The Birth of the People. Composed by Yuzo Koshiro. Thanks, Claudio. It does sound like it was made for the harpsichords. This is beautiful. It's funny because the intro sounds like it was made on an NES. A little better, but they're just like simple, almost like synthesizer sounding notes, like a square sign or whatever they're called. Or a square sound wave or a sine wave. So then it kicks in, and then you hear. So very simple. Could be played on an NES or a Game Boy. And then now you're playing with the full power of this Super Nintendo. All these samples, trying so hard to sound like an orchestra. So many different sounds and instruments can all be playing at the same time too. That was a big thing with the NES, is you were limited. Sometimes you had to have certain elements drop out so you could do like a drum hit there. You'd lose one of the melodies. I love the way they that's called a drone, where you keep alternating really quickly with a similar note. Yes, 3/4 of the way through. Sometimes, a track is going to do it's going to be a medieval throwback, or it's going to be a Baroque throwback, and you can almost just hear it being just super generic. This is so well thought out and really reaches an emotional place to me with the melodies and the chord changes, that it's really telling a story. It's not just giving you everything you've heard before. I love the call and response, the counterpoint. Just like instruments doing a riff here, answered by a riff there. It's almost like watching a relay race, or like watching the Harlem Globetrotters. Each individual's doing a little trick with the ball, throws it to another one, continues the momentum on. And And it makes sense because it was in 1990 that this game came out, very early in Super Nintendo's lifespan. So I think this was actually one of the launch games. So I think Actraiser came out a little after, but check out the launch title, the launch lineup for the Super Nintendo. Super Mario World, one of the best platformers ever. F-Zero, one of the best racing games for that time. SimCity, a great version of SimCity. And something that you just, again, showed like the next level. This was something you could play in a PC and is now brought home. Gradius 3, I don't know a lot about that. And the Great Pilotwings, which felt like you were in a three-dimensional game for the first time ever. Probably. Well, other than what you were doing on the PC. Again, it was like that next level of power. All right. From Knuckles Chaotix. Remember that game? Released in 1995, when the Genesis on its last legs. Knuckles flies out there. Why is he attached to that guy with a ring? That's weird. Is that his buddy? He has headphones on, so maybe he's like, cool. But he's also the same color as that menacing looking enemy at the top, so weird. It's giving these kind of like bondage feelings, is it not? Anyways, in Knuckles Chaotix, the track's called Combination, composed by Junko Shiratsu and Mariko Namba, on the Sega 32X, chosen by Chiptune Brony. Who knew you were going to get to hear a 32X song today? I didn't. All right, a pretty short loop. I wonder if this plays not in a level. This probably would not be a level. This would be like some kind of a menu theme or like, you got a ring. Plays for 30 seconds and then moves on. Really nice big filling synth sounds. It's using the Sega Genesis awesome drums with like a pretty it's a drum beat that's obsessed with hitting the upbeats. So it gives it this really kind of unsettled floaty sound, and it's like constantly accenting almost every upbeat, which is not where you expect any kind of rhythm strike of a heavy nature, and definitely not an accent. So it's like so really strange. It feels like it's just trying to push you off guard, you know? It'd be like if you're standing next to somebody on like a log over water and you're like trying to push each other off. There always must be an analogy. All right, our penultimate track. That means second last. Full Metal Alchemist and the Broken Angel. Released in 2003 in Japan, 2005 worldwide. This is Angel's Relaxation, composed by Makoto Suehiro, Isao Kasai, Kenji Tani, Tomohiko Sato. On the PS2, chosen by Chiptune Brony. Will be our last track. So I guess we'll play it now since I just fucking introduced it. All right, we're switching them. I guess I'm the idiot that didn't know which one was the penultimate. You'll get it. Now that is a fun-ass bossa nova. When you got your... Nice Latin, beachy, seaside vibes. It sounds sunny. It sounds clear. It sounds like the waves coming in. It sounds like the wind pushing the palm leaves. Long hair on a brown-haired, brown-skinned girl. Brown-eyed too. A beautiful sound. Yeah, it's great bossa nova. I don't really know what else to say about it. I like the instrument choices. They give it sort of almost like, see that one. That one sounds like it's being played in like a bathhouse or something. It's like there's a kind of a harsh reverberation on it that it's like it should be a soft sound, but it sounds like it's echoing, you know, like you're in a bathhouse off the bathroom tile. And then the flute brings it more into like a folksy. It's like you're at a spa, and it's an exotic one, but it's a modest one. It's like everybody goes to Greece, but this is in Croatia. Maybe everybody goes to Croatia now, but back then it used to be the secret place. All right, our final track, All Week from Whoopo. This is Dorst Cafe, composed by Thomas Devord, chosen by Kris. Cheeky monkey, hey, hey. Hey, oh. Really nice track. Yeah, it's got some, it gives it that forest kind of vibe with almost all the instruments sounding like they're made out of wood. It sounds like a lot of marimba or a xylophone. And I like how it sounds like a lot of the instruments are doubled, but played with slight milliseconds in between them. So it's a flam. A flam is when you do like two hits that are almost right on. Like, rather than bum 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 brum brum brum. It's like rolling your R. Really, modest, really humble. Because, if you were at like a forest cafe or something, the music at a cafe is not designed to be blowing your mind. It's designed to just stimulate ideas, talking, working, whatever daytime activity you're doing at this cafe, right? It's a really hopeful, bright, optimistic. Almost sounds like birds chirping. It really lends itself to this outdoor forest cafe, rainforest cafe. And do those laid back, those punches there, keep pushing, and give it kind of like a salsa cha-cha feel. It's like the end of that Santana song. Dun 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 dun. Bow. Got a black magic woman. Oh yeah. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, this is the end. That was this week's Top 20 show. If you want to be involved in it, there'll be a link to our Discord in the description of this video. The Discord is a 90s kid, A90S kid. You can join there. You can help us pick what will be next show's theme. You can submit songs that will get played on the show. I think next week we're going to do, if nobody has a better idea, it's a very democratic process, video game music to study to, which is kind of similar to Cafe, but we'll have more of a focus on that. Less Tavern sounding, I think. All right, so if you're in YouTube, bye-bye. The rest will be a streaming exclusive.